So, hello, good morning to everybody. I hope you are hearing me. So, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Jalal, Dr. Kashif, and the colleagues from the Center of Excellence on Information Assurance for your kind invitation to be here. We have I've been working together for several years now, and it's my great pleasure to be here again to meet new colleagues and also to keep in touch with the colleagues that we already met long time ago. So in this talk, I will try to address two main topics. One topic is IoT, and I will try to make a brief introduction about the topic and focus on this influence and the available technologies that we may have to perform solutions for eHealth as a whole. Or if you want, we can talk about healthcare, we can talk about ambient assisted living, and also we can talk about well-being. So before starting, I would like to introduce briefly myself because maybe some of you don't know me very well. So it is not working. No, it's not working to change the slide. Kashif, it's not moving the slides. So. So currently I'm the leader of IoT research group in my university. So I also researcher recognized by the National Science Foundation from Brazil, and I have several involvement in terms of international organization like IEEE. Now I'm director for conference development at ComSoc and member of board of governors. I'm also distinguished lecturer, so I'm performing several lectures around the world, and I already performed work on different technical committees, and I would like to highlight here my service on eHealth Technical Committee because is also a topic that we'll address in this talk. So after a brief introduction, I will talk about Internet of Things. I think it's important inside the research group we may think about research opportunities and also several challenges that we can address when you think about open issues for researching, and I'm trying to address topics related to the health as I already mentioned, and I will conclude my presentation briefly sharing with you to the brief presentation about our research group. As we know, currently, Internet of Things is on the stage. So if we go through the web, if we go through business world, regarding ICT technologies, in fact, it is a very promising technologies. We can identify one of the three most hot topics in terms of research in our area. We can consider IoT, we can consider the physical layer transmission. Now we are on the stage of 5G, and I think there are another important issue regarding research that is related with big data or cloud computing and these related issues. So in fact, we believe that the impact of IoT in terms of economy, it can be much more that connecting objects, and it's much more that thinking about an evolution of internet because it is considered the mother of the fourth generation internet. In fact, we can identify that IoT was born more or less between 2008 2009 when we assumed that the number of connected devices to the internet overlapped the world population. Of course, we don't have an exact date, such as, for instance, when in the United States in October 14, 1995, we approved the definition of internet. We have an exact date. When we are talking about IoT, it is more or less around this time, and we can consider the first point for starting talking about IoT, and in different publications. Here we have an image from Cisco that illustrates this moment, and from that point, starting point from IoT up to now, all the projections show us an enormous growing up in terms of connected device to the internet. In fact, all the projections consider an exponential increase of devices connected to the internet. It's really interesting to observe that it is expected that by 2020 we may have something like about 50 billion of connected objects, but when we go through the reality, we can see that the real numbers are below this planet and projections. So this figure is just to illustrate the main architecture of IoT. If you go from bottom to top, we can see all the layer where we can concentrate all the devices that can be interact with the real world. So we can consider here sensors and actuators and gateways and so on. In this second layer that we can identify, such as network layer, we can identify here, or we can consider here, all the TCP/IP architecture for IoT support. So this is the internet architecture technologies. And the third layer, we may consider the application protocols, and the most common now we can identify COAP, MQTT, and HTTP. And at the upper layer, of course, and if you compare with any given network layer architecture, we have the applications. And regarding the applications, considering different topics, we can identify several verticals, and here we just have an illustration of several verticals regarding IoT applications. And for our topic today, we'll focus on e-health issues and smart assisted living. It's important to mention that there are two parallel layers that crossing all the layered architecture that are really important when you are talking about IoT. One of them is IoT management. And if you are aware of network management, in IoT the complexity is much bigger, and you need to consider other aspects that are not considered in regular network management. When you are talking about IoT management, you should consider network management as well as regular network, but you must include the platforms for management regarding IoT, and a new aspect that is needed to consider on IoT world, that is the device management. As you are considering in this topic that you have tiny devices and where very limited processing and memory capacities, it's really important to taking care of handling this kind of devices. This shows us that the complexity is much bigger, and it shows us that the challenges are also much bigger as well. And as you are in an institution that have lots of experts in security, of course, security is a key issue regarding the success of IoT. I'm convinced that if we don't solve all the main security issues regarding IoT, we simply can compromise the technology. I believe that if we don't offer safe solutions regarding privacy and security issues, our governments will support us to deploy real solutions. We can imagine, for instance, a smart city that can be compromised. We can imagine the dangers that it can be, and we can also can assume that the next generation of wars will not be sending missiles, but we can put the world in the other side if we can compromise the solution in terms of security. We can think only about e-health. We can think about, for instance, autonomous cars. Imagine if we can crash cars, if we can put aircrafts broken and so on. So in fact, if we don't assure complete security solutions, we can really compromise these technologies. So in fact, when you are talking about different kind of verticals, this figure is just to highlight the health issues that we will focus a little during our presentation. This is an important figure. I'm a member of the Brazilian Chamber of IoT, and Brazil invested a lot in the last years to create a strategic plan for IoT development. And as you can see here, we have the three main axes, or the three main applications, the three main verticals that the country decided to focus. And one of them is precisely eHealth. So it's just to highlight that around the world, more or less all the countries consider healthcare and ambient-assisted living issues primary priorities regarding IoT. Of course, they also consider cities, agriculture and rural environment, and also the industry as a plethora to promote all the others. So when you are talking about IoT applied on eHealth, we can identify many opportunities as well as different challenges regarding these technologies. And if we go in deep studying these world of opportunities, we can identify the plethora of solutions on digital health, and you can go through in detail. We have different topics that we must take care and can identify that are really important to include on these scenarios, such as wearables, all the issues related with data and data analytics and visualization. We also have all the work related with telehealth or telemedicine or remote monitoring, following IoT approach, all the issues regarding mobility, solutions for health. And as we know very well, currently we cannot think about new solutions for healthcare forgetting mobility support. So in fact, when we carry in our hands a smartphone, it is not anymore only a mobile phone. This is a computer with a strong computation power, because if the device itself is limited, we have behind mobile phones, we have cloud technologies, and we have a big world of technology that promote the solutions. And for instance, if we go to the most advanced solutions provided on healthcare, we also have the mobile app that offer us, such as a user interface, easy to use, to the big solution that is behind it. So when you are talking about mobile health, of course, smartphones and tablets are on top of it, because they offer us a plethora of solutions. And of course, we can consider all these kind of opportunities that these devices can offer us. And the limit for this kind of solution is simply our imagination and creativity. So we can work together with health professionals and create very promising solutions. And we have lots of examples around the world with this combination with different profiles of professionals, create very, very important solutions. And if you, in your university you have a medicine faculty, it's really important that we can cooperate, because they can offer us the opportunity to create very, very updated solutions and solve, most important of it is solving problems to our population. So in recent years, we have lots of proposals, and here is an example of a device that Google proposed to the community, and it does not succeed. But there are others like smartwatch, smartphones, different applications that are very, very interesting to use. And currently there are too many people that are using several devices to monitoring themselves, including to study the quality of the sleeping and so on. In fact, these solutions are very easy to use. They offer mobility support, and also we have several disadvantages that can be overlapping, but the capacities are of course being increased, and it is really important that we can continue working, because they offer to us too many opportunities. There are different kind of diseases that received more contributions from our area, and here I'm identifying the different solutions for e-health that already are available in most quantity, and it's interesting to see that most of them are focused on real world problems or in diseases that we identify with more prevalence in our world currently. Diabetes, obesity, cardiology, smoking issues. So these are real problems on our society that we can identify currently, given the habits of the persons and also the food that is taken, and it offers several problems. There are also another problem that is emerging around the world. For instance, currently in Europe, we have this problem already identified. We can classify that the the medium age of the people in Europe is old, so the population is aging, and it offers to us many opportunities for developing solutions to create also new opportunities for companies creating new business, because the people is aware of new conditions of life. The people works till later time, and it is they expect to have better conditions for life in the aging age. So regarding this, it offered to us lots of opportunities. For instance, we know that in several countries around the world, such as US, for instance, now we have big problems related with obesity and diabetes, for instance. So if we go through the Apple Store, Google Store, and other stores for applications, we can find thousands of applications for e-health. But it's also important to mention the following: we cannot trust on all the applications, so it's important also that these applications can be such as certified. And there are an important issue that we can identify when you are talking about this kind of technologies, that is related with usability and also trustability on data collected. So imagine, for instance, this application, when we provide the measured data, raw data collected to the medical doctors, we must assure that the collected data is trustable. And this is an important issue. Another issue is usability. Here in this figure, we can identify lots of available sensors, and here we can also identify an opportunity. We can investigate, we can identify new needs, and you can create new sensors also to use in our bodies. And it's also interesting that is emerging a new market for using body sensors to apply on animals. If you go through the most recent IoT conferences or exhibitions, I visited recently the annual IoT exhibition in Korea, and Korea is the most developed country around the world on IoT. There are now companies focusing on IoT solutions for pets. And there are families around the world that spend a huge amount of money with their pets instead of, for instance, with people. And this is also an opportunity for marketing. Of course, there are several ethical issues on it, but it is the reality that we can observe now. So there are too many devices that along the recent years have been proposed. They offer good quality for diagnosis, they offer us comfortable solutions, and also there are emerging materials and also emerging solutions that seems to be promised. One of them is the use of graphene, and I have a very good friend of mine that is considered the father of sensor network, that is Jan Alkildis. Is very well known in our community, and Jan and his team already patented several solutions for body sensors using graphene. And it's really interesting. This material offers a lot of potential, and it can be considered such as in upcoming years, such as a promising material for sensors, and we can put in our body this material, and also we can offer the opportunity for design, because we can create design on mobile on body sensors, and they can be seen for other persons such as a tattoo, and they cannot be identified such as a regular sensors that we are used to. And we also have this big word of nanotechnology that can be continuing increasing and offer us interesting solutions. So we can identify many challenges, and some of them are similar to the IoT world, and I would like also to highlight the security issues, because we are here inside an important team that is working on security. So we have too many aspects related with security and also privacy that should be highlighted, and we should address regarding solutions and identify the open issues for research. Here I'd like to highlight an important issue regarding the IoT application on a particular sector of our population, that is the aging people. Several statistics we can identify that only in 50 years, from 2000 and 2050, it is expected that the number of aging people most then double. So here we can identify about 7% of the world population. It was aged then 65 years old, and it is expected then by 2050 we may have about 16%. So it causes to us lots of challenges regarding the demographic evolution, and although it is expected the people wants to have new and better conditions for life, and at the same time for our governance it is a big challenge regarding the sustainability of social assurance. And in fact, regarding the ICT perspective, it offers us lots of opportunities. So in fact we can see several images that the people wants to be autonomous, if possible with mobility support. And also you never forget the following: the most expensive hotel that we have around the world, it is called hospital, and usually apart the people that working at the hospital, we don't like to be there. So if we can be at home with good conditions for monitoring and also for dispensing medication and so on, we prefer staying at home. Also for the health systems, of course, it is less expensive, and we know that if we continue this evolution that we have now, we'll have strong problems regarding the sustainability of the healthcare systems, both private and public. This is why around the world the age to be retired is increasing, and also the plans for the social assurance is being changed, and because they are not sustainable, because the number of active population cannot support in terms of taxes the retired people. This is why this evolution is being changed, because the hope life is also increasing. So in fact, when you are thinking about smart assisted living technologies or ambient assisted living technologies, we believe that they can contribute for more autonomous life, and this integration of ubiquitous technologies in our houses can contribute to create an intelligent and safe ambient assisted living environment, and it offers to us lots of opportunities in terms of research and also in terms of business. So here just to identify the main technologies that can be used in this kind of environment. So I think it's very well known to us. So sensors, actuators, cloud infrastructures, networks for communication, and different kind of devices that can be applied either in house and also or in the the people and human body. So another interesting challenge that we can consider is the telehealth, telemedicine, and remote health. So offer good solutions in terms of monitoring, in terms of diagnosis, therapeutics in remote regions. It is observed along the years that the people is migrating from rural areas to the cities, and now we have very hard conditions for living in big cities around the world in terms of pollution, quality of the environment, the cars, mobility issues. And we believe that with this evolution of technology, we can offer to our population better conditions. And if we ask in average population if they prefer living in their hometown or in big cities, the people would like to stay outside these big metropolis. And this is why we can offer good solutions for them. I believe in the upcoming years, it's just in talking in parentheses, I believe that a big issue in terms of research, it is the topic related with autonomous cars. And if we change our minds, if this evolution continue, I believe that with shared cars and autonomous cars, and also maybe powered electrically, we can reduce a lot the number of needed cars in our cities. So as we consider currently that smartphone can be seen such as a revolution in terms of society, I believe that we will assist with this new revolution that can be performed by autonomous cars. And imagine that in the near future, you don't need to have our own car. We can share car. We can use car as a service. And even we can use 10–50% of the current available cars. If it happens, we can reduce a lot the pressure in the cities, so we can increase the mobility, and also maybe we need to change our houses because you don't need a garage for car parking, etc., etc., etc. So we do believe that in the upcoming 20 years we have a strong evolution on this issue, and it can also contribute a lot to increase the quality of our environment and the quality of our life, also including for saving time. Imagine you don't like to go shopping, so you can easily buy the goods that you want to buy online, and they arrive at home. It happens currently. If you need to put the kids at school, they can forward them in a safety word using autonomous car service. So you can save a lot of time in our lives, and you can use it for taking care of our family and also enjoy our life, and maybe also work less hours a day, because we also have a big challenge that we will see in the upcoming year, that is the limitation of work to all the population. So maybe it will be better receive less salary and work less hours a week. And as we can see, currently several countries already are putting in practice this approach. Sweden, for instance, is an example. The people is reducing the number of hours they work per week, reducing proportionally the salary, and the people prefer having less money but living better and living more relaxed without stress. So in fact we are observing an interesting evolution in our society regarding these aspects. So if we take a look on the opportunity in terms of market and research for health and healthcare, some big companies identify that, for instance, the annual worldwide economic impact of Internet of Things on eHealth, it can be between 1/3 and 1/2 on healthcare issues in 7 years. So this is the perspective for Orange Labs. As you know, Orange Labs is the mobile branch from France Telecom, and also Huawei perspective that we may have about 100 billion nodes connected to the internet by 2025. So these are the projections, and all of them offer to us an enormous number, but we already observed that, as I shown in the workshop, the recent report from Ericsson showed to us that the projection and the reality, we have a gap, and in fact we have less objectives connected to the internet than the perspectives that were presented in many reports and for many consultants around the world. So just this figure is used to illustrate the plethora of technologies that we have available currently, from the mobile technologies, from the wired and wireless technologies, and there are too many standards also available on this kind of issues. And it's just to identify the difficulties and challenges that you have now regarding the heterogeneity in terms of devices communications. Another important contribution that is expected that we'll have in upcoming decade is the 5G. So it is expected that the next decade will be the decade of 5G, and I'm really happy to share with you that my university created 5G in Brazil, and this is the demonstration of the 5G created by us that we performed with the president and the ministers of the country last year when we presented 5G working on a real deployment. So when we focus on eHealth issues, there are numerous challenges and trends that we may address. For instance, we can identify issues on mobility and the dynamicity of this sector. It is also important the security aspects that I already highlighted, and they should take in care. We have also the issues related to the heterogeneity that we should overlap and create all the network adaptation and easy to use performant device such as a plug and play simplicity. As you can see now, if we go shopping and we buy several devices, they are not easy to use, so they are not easy to integrate in an IoT solution. So this is something that we need to continue working to create solutions that can be easily used by all the population. And example of this is the mobile phone. Currently, more or less, all the population can easily buy a mobile phone or a smartphone, put in SIM cards, switch on, and it works. It not happens in IoT devices. So it's something that we need to continue this evolution, such as creating such as plug and play simplicity for this. Also promote the word development with equilibrium. So in fact, currently we have regions around the world that are far from this kind of solutions, and I do believe that these new solutions with lower price, with tiny devices and very easy to use, that can be easily deployed around the world and also increase the access to the healthcare for people that is living in dispersed regions. And you have this example in Brazil. Brazil is one big country, is 2 times bigger than Europe, for instance, and they developed a very good solutions for telehealth. Why? Because we have Amazon that is very big, and it is really challenged to offer eHealth solution for these people. For instance, South Africa is also another example that is on state of the art regarding solutions for telemedicine and telehealth, because they have health centers that are from the main hospital more than 4,000 kilometers. So it's too far from the people can access to health. And we have interesting available solutions. Do you already heard about Da Vinci? Da Vinci is a robot for, how they say, wireless surgery. So the doctor, the medic don't need to touch the patient. So when we offer to the healthcare good solutions in terms of communications, we can have a specialist here that can make remotely surgery in any given part of the world. And we believe that this kind of solutions will decrease the cost of the health, and also increase the quality of the services promoted, and increase also the access to the healthcare. So in terms of security, I identified also several issues and challenges that can be addressed regarding these kinds of technologies. So just to highlight user privacy and data protection, and for instance, the recent regulation provided by the European Union that influenced all the world regarding data protection, and also promote that different countries around the world also adopt the rules provided by European Union, or create their own rules regarding citizens protection. So all the issues related to authentication and identity management, and you have lots of biometric approaches, and also we are using it daily. For instance, currently you have mobile phones that accept fingerprint or face recognition, so this is something that we are using currently, and the idea is behind this help the user to authenticate univocously, and at the same time try to offer easy to use the devices. So also an important issue is the trust management and the policies integration, and is more an important aspect regarding regulation and also policies about this issue. Also the authorization and access control, and this is a really important issue, because when you are thinking about billions of connected devices, this aspect is a key issue that should be addressed, and it must be provided in an easy way for users. If not, it will be a mess, because imagine a scenario with billions of nodes. If we don't have an easy to use solution for handling this huge amount of devices, it will be very hard to handle. Also the security in terms of communications hand-to-hand, so it's a very well known aspect, and also all the issues related with attacks and attacks tolerant. So we need to create solutions that may offer, such as wall protection, to avoid that compromise the solutions. And we know key applications like healthcare, smart cities, and so on, that if these solutions are compromised, the consequences can be catastrophic. And this is why our governments are afraid now to promote real solutions based on this kind of technology, because if they are compromised, the consequences for the population and also for them can be really, really dangerous. So there are too many people working on 5G, and there are also scientists that are thinking of behind 5G. So for the 2030, it's really interesting that I saw in the Center of Excellence that you are focused on 2030. So it is expected that in 2030 we have an evolution of 5G. We can call it 6G or other. So in terms of radio and mobile communications. And this screenshot, I captured it from a video that I found on the web, publicized by IEEE Future Directions, and it's really interesting that it shows us the key aspects in terms of research that we can identify from the upcoming years. One of them is communication, so it's more or less the same that we have now. Another is IoT, as I already mentioned before, but now we are talking about IoT. In 10 years, maybe we'll talk about super IoT, and everything huge, everything big, and also data. So data analytics, and it's interesting that now we are generating new jobs. And one of job is data engineering or something like that. So it's a person that is a specialist on data analytics and generate information and knowledge from the huge amount of data that we have saving in our cloud solutions and so on. So where we are now? Now we have lots of buzzwords, lot of technologies that cooperate among them, and it's something like a typhoon. So we are in the moment of the word evolution that each keyword that you can see here is a big research topic, is a big issue, and all of them are working together. And I think our role is or should be taking the best combination of the available solutions. I do believe that now we almost can say that we can do everything with technology, and we can raise this question: where is the limit? I think the limit now is is our imagination, is our creativity. So we have a plethora of available technologies, and I do believe that our creativity and imagination can put forward new solutions and offer new perspectives in terms of business, in terms of application of technology to generate new solutions that provide. I do believe that we may have, or we must have, a key role to create a better world and a safe world for our upcoming generations. So just to briefly share with you what you are doing, this is the logo of our research group. So we have about 70 members. This is our lab. We have very good conditions for working, very modern. We have about 25 faculty members inside and outside our university, and also students are working together. These are the main verticals that we are working, and they are aligned with the planned verticals that the Brazilian government is working from the upcoming year. So you can see cities and the environment. So here we can see smart homes, smart agriculture, smart energy, and of course smart health and smart assisted living. So in terms of horizontals, we already offer to the community an IoT middleware platform, is available for free through the web. You already register it. We already offer also an IoT management platform that is also registered, because in Brazil you can register the software, such as patenting the software. So this solution for IoT management is also ready for use, and you are just finishing a contribution to share with community. And we also performed detailed study and performance evaluation study regarding the comparison of available protocols for IoT. We just published a paper with it, and do believe that it can contribute to the community, such as a review of the state of the art and identification of open issues regarding the plethora of protocols, mainly MAC layer protocols for IoT. And we consider two main groups: short-range coverage, long-range coverage. And for instance, we have good knowledge about it because we have Sigfox available in our country, and also we have a telco operator that installed the first NB-IoT public network. The first place in Latin America was in our city, in cooperation with our university. And the rest, it is available. We already deployed LoRa, for instance, so we deployed several prototypes. It's really nice because our students have good skills in terms of electronics, in terms of hardware, embedded software, and also software, and we can create all the solution regarding the creation of prototypes for real deployment. We also have some work on fog computing also for eHealth, and I just finished a study where we applied decision support system on eHealth, and we performed good contributions, I think, in this topic, because we received several attention from the research community regarding this topic. This is the house that we have at Inatel to make a real deployment of IoT solutions in smart home and smart assisted living. So this is a the market of a real house that we have inside the campus, and we'll deploy it during this year in 2019. And we believe that we can offer a good way to demonstrate solutions in a real environment. We also have an agreement with our city hall, and we will have a big pilot in smart city that will start working on it during this year, and the project is for the 3 upcoming years. So I tried to concentrate in few slides lot of issues that I'd like to address and share with you. So thank you very much for your attention, and first of all, thank you very much for your kind invitation to be here. It's always a pleasure when we have this opportunity to visit you again. So thank you very much, and thanks for this opportunity to be with you again. I don't know if you want to discuss something. If you have time for it, feel free. For me, it's a pleasure to learn also with you. I don't know if there are any questions.
From the audience, if there is any
You mentioned for computing? Maybe it's feedback. What is the question, James? Because I couldn't understand. How we are using for computing on the context of IoT. So if you go to this, this figure is not illustrated very well. We have the cloud of sensors. We have the cloud technologies. So FUG is like a decentralization of cloud technologies at the edge of the network. It offers more powerful solution in terms of security aspects, because we can perform edge computing using cloud technologies. And this is what we are doing. We recently got a paper accept in a journal where we deployed a fog solution in a simple Raspberry Pi. And it is, in terms of price, it's cheap, and we can offer good solution. Now we have a problem in terms of research that is the following. We have tiny devices with very limited capacity, and they can be considered an open door for attacks. And if we create such as a barrier with more powerful technologies that manage and handle an island of sensors, we can also offer more protection to our solution. So in terms of security, in terms of handling remotely and decentralized solution, it is very helpful. And at the same time, we can also filter data. So we can collect all the data from an island of sensors, and we only need to save for massive storage the required data. For instance, if you are inside an hospital, we need to monitoring the patients when they have, for instance, a post-surgery and so on. But for storage for a long time, we don't need to measure, for instance, the heartbeat, the temperature, and etc., the blood pressure, etc. We only need to save several averages of measures or different time stamps. So we can have a focused solution to monitoring in real time, and in the cloud solution we only need to save several average data, for instance, that is defined by the health professionals. So this is a real example of this kind of solution. For instance, in a smart city, you have very, very complex solutions. So we may have, for instance, a fog computing solution to handle a district, and you can have a cloud solution for all the city, for instance. And you can decentralize, you can also promote distributed approaches and also distributed safety or security solutions in terms of the created global solution. Hope I could answer.
Yes, the other yeah. Then we will go.
Thank you very much for your dear colleague. Thank you very much for your very, very important question. Is an aspect that I didn't address during my presentation because lack of time. But when I usually introduce IoT, it's really important to mention that in IoT we also have a new kind of device. Usually, in our tradition, in terms of ICT technology, we have physical devices and digital entities. So it's the digitalization of real world. When we go through IoT, you have a third element on it. It is the virtual environment. It is the virtual object. And a virtual object, it has an identity, it has characteristics, and it should be considered. The most easy example of it is the virtual money, the cryptocurrencies, so that they are more and more used in our days. So, in fact, we must consider the virtual world, and it emerged a lot when you are thinking about IoT. And I also have a slide, not included in this presentation, maybe included in the other that focused only on IoT, where you have this triangle. So, physical, digital, and virtual world. It's true. Thank you very much. So this topic is so big and so complex that of course we cannot address everything. And as the colleagues request me to address eHealth, the healthcare vertical, of course there are